and I've become the youngest ever to do that. I called up Nims Dai, who you probably know. He did the 14 Peaks and he has a documentary on Netflix.
I would like to extend my hearty welcome to Miss Adrianna Brownlee to this felicitation program, which is organized by the British Model College, a sister concern of the British College. On behalf of the entire management team, Rajan Kumar Rai, program manager for A-Level, would like to welcome her on this talk show. Please, a big round of applause for Miss Adrianna Brownlee. To give her a short introduction, she is a young British girl who is into this project of submitting this 14 8,000er peaks, which is considered the highest mountain all across the world. And she's already been able to submit 7 8,000er peaks out of these 14. So, well, it's a huge achievement for someone like her at such a young age. At the age of 21, she's on the quest, she's on the pursuit of submitting these 14 8,000er peaks. So, before we begin the sessions, we'd like to wish her a good luck, and we'd like to congratulate her as well for submitting these 7 peaks within this short period of time. And she already has made a record of climbing 2 peaks, especially this Annapurna, which is regarded as one of the toughest mountain to climb, and Kanchenjunga, one of the third largest, the third highest peak in the world. She made it within 2 weeks, which is a new record, which is a new world record. Well, to begin with, Adrianna, well, in spite of the fact that I belong to this Everest region, I was born there, whole Solukhumbu district. I never had this thought of climbing mountains. It's always been a tough job for me. How did you build this quest? How did you build this interest of climbing mountains and being a mountaineer? We'd like to hear your story.
I was born and raised in London, which has 0 mountains and an elevation of like -20. So I wasn't surrounded by the mountains. I wasn't, living in the Alps or anything. But it was my dad that sparked the interest to climb mountains. And he was always into his sport when he was younger, and he wanted to sort of feed that into me from when I was small. I think he wanted to have a son as a child, but he wasn't lucky, so he tried to make me into his model boy. So he first started taking me to Taekwondo lessons, because he wanted me to get into martial arts, and that wasn't really, going with my flow. I wasn't enjoying that, and then he decided to take me on this challenge called the 3 Peaks, which is to climb the highest mountain in England, Scotland and Wales in under 24 hours. So I think the previous record for the youngest was maybe like 18, 19, 20. No one really thought about doing this, and I was only 9 years old, and I didn't really know what I was getting into. I was kind of just happy playing with my Barbies in my room, but he took me up, and we did it in under 24 hours. We did it in 22 hours, and I've become the youngest ever to do that. And I got in my local newspaper, and I was really loving all this attention, and I kind of knew that this was made for me. I had the personality and the mindset to get through, tough and difficult challenges, and just put my mind to it and put one step in front of the other, which not many kids my age could probably do. They had the attention span of about 5 minutes, whereas I'd just done 22 hours straight of walking with a backpack up and down hills. So I carried on doing events like this and challenges like this with my father. And when I was 15 years old, I finally decided that I wanted to try and do something unique and different from my peers. Everyone at school was, interested in social media and, getting through school and doing their exams. And I wanted to do something a bit different and a bit out there, and it had always been in my mindset to be like this. So we decided to do the 7 summits together, my father and I, and that's the highest mountain in each continent. So we started this journey. So on my 16th birthday, I climbed Mount Elbrus, which is the highest mountain in Russia. I don't think you can get to that one anymore, so that's pretty unique. And then after this, we went to do Kilimanjaro, the highest mountain in Africa. And then we did Aconcagua on my 18th birthday, and I also missed prom, which was really upsetting, because this is like my dream since I was young. But anyway, we climbed the highest peak outside the Himalayas together when I was 18 years old, which was pretty special. And after this, the plan was to do Everest. So that was next on the box with my father, and that would be another cool thing, you know, father-daughter climbing Everest. It was quite a big story, but COVID came and destroyed that plan, and so we had to rethink the whole situation. And eventually, while I was crying my eyes out at the news that my Everest expedition had been cancelled, I called up Nims Dai, who you probably know. He did the 14 Peaks, and he has a documentary on Netflix. I called him up. This was before he was famous, and he answered the phone, and I was crying my eyes out. I was like, "Oh, Nims Dai, please help me! Like, what are we gonna do? I can't do my Everest expedition." Like, I was really, really upset. And he sort of said, "Okay, look, like, in October we're gonna try and do an autumn expedition of Everest. So you're more than welcome to join. You just have to pay about $60,000 extra," but that was, you know, on the side note. So I decided to sign myself up for this because my personality is that way, where if I obsess about something and I train my butt off for 2 years at something, I'm going to have to do it. So there was no option. I had to do it this year or nothing. So my father kindly let me do that by myself. And he gave up his dream of climbing Everest because it's just too expensive for the both of us to do it. I don't think he regrets that decision, but he keeps going on about climbing Everest every year, so we're going to have to do it at some point. But yeah, we got that news, and then during, well, sort of almost October time, COVID cancelled that one again. And at this point, I was so frustrated. It was almost, you know, a year of nothing. And then Nims Dai told me to come on his K2 winter expedition, which was the first expedition in winter on K2 that was successful by a team of 9 Nepalis. So I was living with 9 Nepalis for 2 months, which was a huge culture shock. I didn't know anything about the country. I didn't know any of the language. They were just saying, you know, swear words at me all the time to repeat, and I didn't know. And that was it, pretty much for 2 months, just joking back and forth. But it was the most incredible experience ever, to be able to live with these Sherpas who, I mean, they're just machines. Like, they're on another level. So I did this expedition. I got to Camp 1 just as training, but it was also probably the expedition that changed my whole life, because it was when Nims told me, "You should do the 14 peaks, and you'll be the youngest ever to do so." I think he just saw straight away that we had the exact same mindset, and you know, any adversity, any challenge, we just push straight through it, and you know, that's how we live, and our personalities just click straight away. So he became my mentor, and he started my 8,000 meter journey with me. I climbed Everest, Manaslu, Dhaulagiri, and Amadablam with him and his team. And I'm still climbing with the same Sherpa that I climbed with from the beginning, Gelje Sherpa. So that was kind of, yeah, that's what led me up to this journey, pretty much. Sorry, I kind of rambled.
Wow. Wow, that's impressive. There's two kind of debate, you know, when it comes to climbing 8,000 or these very difficult peaks. You know, there's one kind of argument is, you know, if you have determinations, if you have hard work, and if you have that kind of, you know, strong commitment, you can make it. Another kind of debate is there that in order to have conquered these kind of peaks, you need to have that inbuilt, you know, you need to have that inbuilt strength, that inbuilt endurance and resilience. So it's something that you get it by birth. It's not something that you acquire, after after you see somebody else. So what is your opinion on that part? Because as they say, only Sherpas are made for mountains. But you just broke that kind of thought, that kind of sayings. So what do you say about that? What is your take on this?
So I think climbing mountains, it's 80% mentality and 20% fitness. And having that right mentality, only very few people have. I mean, to climb Everest, for example, it's kind of a different story because some people on Everest, they pretty much get pulled up, or they have like 6 oxygen bottles and they can ramp it up. So that's a different story. And nowadays you see many people on Everest that are just, you think maybe like 5 days ago they were sat in their office eating donuts, probably not even thinking about the gym. So, but to do other mountains such as Annapurna, Kanchenjunga, these are where you really need to, be set apart from the others, and you need to become a proper mountaineer and get into that mindset. And I think me and Nims Dai are very similar in a way that we never came from a mountaineering background. He's not a Sherpa. He was in the Gorkhas. He was from a different caste. And he just had that mentality and that mindset that, if I set my mind to a goal, for example, the summit and coming back down, then I'm gonna, in his words, effing do it. Like, he has no, there's no boundaries for him and nothing is impossible for him. And I kind of went in that same thought. I've never seen a mountain before I was, 8 years old. I wasn't born and bred in, the high Alps. So I just had that right mindset, and when I put my mind to it, I put one foot in front of the other. That's it, I'm gonna do it. And if you find your passion or your hobby or whatever you love to do, anyone can have that mindset. It's, when you find out something and you want that goal so bad, you're just gonna do anything to get it. And that's kind of the message that I try to give to anyone. If you really want it, just do it, basically, helping you.
All right, yeah. So I think See Yourself is an example that, if you have that determination, if you have that passion, if you have that obsession, you can make it happen. I think the reason is See Herself. Well, if you look at the different mountaineers who had made it to the 14 peaks or who had made it to the highest mountains in the world, Mount Everest, we've seen that they've been through, let's talk about this Nims Dai himself. He was in Gorkha Regiment, the British Army, the British Gorkha Regiment, and he was also a member of the Special Task Force. So he had these special trainings, he had this special, the physical fitness, and well, to some extent, that was advantage for him. But when it comes to Adrianna, she's not from any of that kind of some special task force or some army background. She's not even an athlete. She's not even born and raised in mountains. She herself said that she did not see mountains for quite a long time. And if she can make it, I think anyone can make it, right? So Adrianna, when you made these 7 peaks, when you summited these 7 peaks, had there been any moment that you felt like, I think that's it, I'm done. I think I cannot go ahead now. I cannot move forward now. I think that's the end. Had you just gone through that kind of moment when you feel like it's all over, just because you are totally exhausted, you cannot even move your hands or you cannot even move your legs, you have a problem breathing, so even your eyesight is getting blurred. So have you ever been through that kind of moment when you were making the 7 summits?
And there's always one of those moments, the panic attack in the camp, usually at Camp 4 before summit. You're just thinking, I really don't want to do this. I could be anywhere else right now, and I'm suffering here. It's like minus 30 degrees. I have no food. I can't go to the toilet. What am I doing with my life? But I think there are big moments as well. So on Kanchenjunga, for example, we just reached the summit. It was a beautiful day, clear skies. You could see everywhere. You could see Sikkim. It was beautiful. And I was coming down maybe about 40 meters from the summit, and I started to feel really tired, like suddenly just been hit by a brick wall, and I'd never felt like this before. I was like, what is going on? So I turned around to my climbing partner, Girl J. I was like, dude, like, I don't know what's happened, but I can't walk, and my legs feel like metal, and I can't breathe properly. So he had a look at my oxygen tank, and my oxygen had completely run out. And when you're relying on oxygen at 8,000 meters, for it to suddenly run out is extremely dangerous. Like it's suddenly your brain is starved from oxygen, and your body goes into panic mode, and that's when you can get problems like HACE and HAPE, so high altitude cerebral edema, which is the swelling of the brain, and swelling of the brain is never a good thing. So I was freaking out. I thought this was going to happen to me, and I think my blood pressure went up and went down, I don't know the difference. And I just freaked out and I fainted in the snow. And I still had no oxygen, and Girl J had no oxygen left either. So this was one of the moments where everything could go really wrong. There was no one really around us. Everyone had gone down already because we were so slow, because I had no oxygen. And at this point I just remember waking up and thinking, like, honestly, why am I not at home right now? Like, why am I risking my life to do this? But I think Girl J just sat down in front of me and told me, like, this is your dream, this is your goal, so just get the F down and get safe, because we don't want you to die up here. This is not in the plan. So I kind of got myself together, took some deep breaths, and I had to make it down without oxygen, which is pretty scary, but we did it in the end. A bit of teamwork, a bit of motivation. But yeah, there's loads of moments like this where you just think, like, why am I here? You witness a lot of deaths on the mountain as well, which is never a nice thing. It's always a shock to the system, and it makes you rethink why you're really doing this. But I think it's also that excitement of living life on the edge. You're so close to death, but that's what makes life really alive. And that for me is the biggest thing about mountaineering, just teetering on that, that edge. It's a pretty special experience that not many people get to do in real life. And you can't really do it on Everest, for example, because it's just too commercialized. So.
Wow, that's really great. This mountaineering thing, it's a lot of expense. It comes with expense. It needs a huge budget, and especially for foreigners. When it comes to even climbing Everest or summiting the mountains in the Nepal, in Nepal itself. And the mountaineering gears are very expensive. All the equipments, the gadgets that are used, and you cannot risk your life for the low quality or some high copy products. You have to get the genuine one, which is very expensive, and so it comes with a cost. It's not only, so the mountaineering thing not only comes with a risk of life, it also comes with a huge cost. Yeah, right. Yeah. So how did you manage these, his huge expense?
So when I phoned my parents to tell them that I was going to do the 14 peaks, I was on K2, and I don't think they were expecting this call. But yeah, I called them up. First I called my university, because I was studying at the time, and I'd just taken like 1 or 2 months off. And I called them up and I said, look, sorry, like, can you take me out of the university? Like, I'm not coming back. They were like, excuse me? Like, you got exams to do? And I was like, sorry, I found a new passion, and you know what, I'm going to give up everything and just follow this, because you only live once and life is very short. So I don't want to be sat in a classroom, especially during COVID. I was sat in my accommodation studying. It was awful. And then I phoned my parents, and I was like, oh, Mum, Dad, like, I'm sorry, but I'm quitting university and I'm going to be on the mountains. And they were like, well, don't look at us for any help financially, because, you know, this is your idea and you're, you know, coming out of university, you're leaving your career. So this is your choice, and you better make it. So from that moment onwards, my job was to find sponsors and email every single person I could think of, find an agent, sort out my life basically, find clothing, everything, do all the admin work. And after a lot of hard work and resilience, I found North Face as a sponsor. So they're sort of my main sponsor at the moment. And but yeah, it's really difficult. It's no one wants to give money. I haven't really got much support from the UK thus far, but I'm waiting on it. But yeah, it's just a mental battle of sitting down and writing proposal after proposal, calling people, visiting places, doing interviews. But it's a very hard job, and I think that's harder than mountaineering for sure, doing this bit. But it'll come naturally.
All right. So, so when you, obviously when you were making these 14 peaks, it's not only in one country. You have to go across the world. And had it been like, all the mountains were in UK itself, maybe it would have been much easier. But when you have to travel to Nepal and then Pakistan and there's so many other countries, what kind of experiences you had, because dealing with the visa, and then this local authority, because getting approval to climb these mountains from the local authority, starting from the local authority to the government level, what kind of, problems or what kind of difficulties, or did you had an easy, processing, or you had a terrible time, or you had a very difficult time? Would you like to share your experience about that?
I mean, firstly, probably the best part of mountaineering is the traveling. So last year I got to spend almost 9 months in Nepal, and it almost became like my second home. So I've just been back and forth here for the past year and a bit. And then Pakistan, also another beautiful country. The area that we were at, the most beautiful people. And to be able to experience these places is like mind-blowing. But yeah, there's problems, especially in Pakistan. Trying to get a visa there is almost impossible. Last year it took me, I think, 5 months to get my visa. So there's always admin problems, and then some of the areas in Pakistan are also pretty sketchy, especially for women. In like Nanga Parbat region, in 2015 there was a terrorist attack. I think 3 people were murdered at base camp. So that one's a bit scary, but you just got to deal with these things and put your mind to the goal and the mountain and forget, all the admin stuff that you have to go through. But that's life. It's taught me a lot of good lessons. It's sort of made me grow a lot faster than I thought I would have to. Because not many 21-year-olds are having to deal with all these things, talking to government. In Pakistan, I had to visit the president. I had to visit the head of the military. All these very important people I was just not prepared to visit. But yeah, it's awesome, and it teaches you a lot of life lessons that I probably wouldn't have learned at university. But don't skip university, go to university.
So when you are making this climbing these peaks, so obviously you are with your teams. You're not just on your own, but you have your entire team. And had there been any moment like, when the team is very close to the peak and there's some kind of competitions that I want to go there to just be the first one among my team itself? Had there been like competitions among yourself, among your team itself, or has it been like, no, it's a one team, it's a one goal, one mission? So how have you ever faced that kind of situation that you're competing within your team itself as an individual mountaineer?
Yeah, definitely, especially between the women. Women are very competitive, and there's not many female mountaineers. So when you do come across one and they have a similar goal to you, there's a bit of tension. Last year on Everest, we were together in a small team for 2 months straight, living at base camp. Like, you have one tent to hang out in, and you're there together for breakfast, lunch, dinner, and in between. So it gets really intense really quickly. And so there's been a few examples where, there's like one lady last year who wanted to do the record for the Everest Lhotse speed traverse. And I also wanted to do this record. And then Nims Dai was like, there's only one person can do it in our team, and well, she got the choice, so she managed to take it, but she didn't get the record, so haha. But yeah, there's always a bit of tension. But you kind of just got to egg each other on and motivate each other and just kind of push it aside, because everyone has their own, their own mission, their own challenge. So you got to remember that, and you got to try and make yourself unique amongst them, or else, you're gonna fight. But yeah, I mean, you can't really say much at base camp, because if you have a fight at base camp, it can go very wrong very quickly, and there's no places you can run, so except into a crevasse. But
So, these 8,000ers are all often called as death zone. So I know for sure you might have been through several expeditions, and they say out of every 5 men or every 5, the mountaineers, 1 or 2 cannot make it. That they just lose their life. So have you ever experienced that? That you're in the team. And or some other teams who are very close to you. Have you ever experienced somebody, disappearing from the crew or losing their lives? Have you ever experienced personally?
Yeah, so I've experienced quite a lot of deaths. With the statistics, for example, Annapurna, it's 1 in 4 people will die when they try to climb Annapurna. Which is pretty scary, because there was like, I don't know, maybe 25 people on our team. I was thinking like, 4 of us are gonna die, so who's it gonna be? Like, probably not me, but I mean, no one died. I can't remember actually. Maybe someone, not in our team, but I think no one died on Annapurna. But on K2 Winter, 4 people passed away. And it was, pretty shocking. It was my first 8,000-meter expedition as well. So I was just coming into this like fresh, innocent, and suddenly I was, amongst 4 dead bodies at the end of the expedition, wrapped up in sleeping bags. But it's an eye-opening thing. One of the deaths, it was an older guy, and he was climbing up, I think, from camp 2 to camp 3 on K2. So K2 is literally just like one long slope. So if you fall, you're falling all the way down to the bottom. So I was at advanced base camp with my friend. We were doing some camera work. We were actually looking for some stuff that had blown off the mountain a few days before. And suddenly just this body comes fucking tumbling, sorry, I swore, comes tumbling down. I'm half Irish, so it just comes out. It just came tumbling down. And I mean, all you could see was, a down suit just, rolling. And then suddenly, blood everywhere. And you're like, oh no, like, this is, we don't want to see this. And it came like, I don't know, maybe 10 meters next to us. So these kind of things, they happen, but you just got to brush them off and, forget that it happened, or else, it's going to put you off mountaineering forever, right? But yeah, I mean, like, we saw the bodies coming down. I've seen a lot of injuries as well. Like, one person got a rock straight to his head, huge hole, blood coming everywhere. So yeah, but I mean, after the 14 peaks, I want to be a doctor, so this is good training.
All right, so it's like, no matter what, the show must go on.
Yeah.
That's what you always say to
yourself. Yeah, always, yeah.
So would you recommend, because today it used to be a long time ago that, only the experienced people or the, the trained and especially the adult and matured people used to go to pursue these mountains, these mountain peaks. But nowadays we can see that a lot of young people are coming up, they're getting interested in this, the pursuit of conquering these mountains. And would you recommend any special diet or kind of routine life or kind of physical fitness? Would you recommend to the young generations who want to get into these conquest? We want to get into this quest to conquer these mountains. Would you like to recommend some special diet, routine life, maybe a fitness?
So my routine life before Everest and before like these 8,000ers, I would wake up every morning. at maybe 5 in the morning before school, and I would train 6 days a week. A lot of cardio, a lot of running. I was running like maybe a 10K 4 times a week, 5Ks 4 times a week, and gym every day. And so it was really intense, but this was not really to do with fitness. I mean, it was to do with fitness, but primarily it was just to do with getting into that routine and getting into that right mindset where, if I want to work hard at something, I'm going to have to really work hard and just put my mind to it and get through it. So yeah, this was my routine every morning, and eventually it just became habit. They say it takes 90 days or something to make a habit. And so I was doing this for almost 2 years. So now I'm kind of out of that routine now. I've just been eating and drinking, but I mean, I kind of deserve it because I've been climbing mountains for the past 2 months. So, but yeah, you have to really have that routine. And then in terms of diet, I just eat healthy, nothing really special. On the mountains, you just try and eat whatever you can, because when you're at altitude, your body, your circulatory system is kind of avoiding your digestive system. So, I mean, anything you eat either isn't being digested or just comes back the other way. So, yeah, well, it's raining. Monsoon season. But yeah, I mean, it's each to their own really in terms of training and eating. However your body sort of reacts and whatever your body's telling you, I kind of just go with that.
Congratulations. And we wish you good luck.